everybody thinks God's call makes you click your heels and be like, yay, the Lord asked me to do it.
It's the furthest thing from it.
Nah, fam, most times the Lord telling you to do something, you like,
that can't be me. You got the wrong one.
please go get somebody else. Like, he's thirsty, get him. Like, you know what I mean? He clearly wants it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want you. And it's like, no, but I would rather not. Lord, I'm like this close to, I could be Will.
Welcome to Vault Empowers Talk, so we don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential change makers, and today is no different. I'm your host, Brandi Harvey. Before I introduce my guest for today, I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a daily dose of motivation and inspiration. But without further ado, I get to introduce this man sitting next to me, and baby, I am ready to upset the gram today with this one, Tim Ross. He is a podcaster, social media influencer, author, and preacher. As the host of the Basement Podcast, founder of the B-Side app, and the author of his latest book, Welcome to the Basement, An Upside Down Guide to Greatness. Tim shows readers how they can achieve greatness in the upside down kingdom Jesus is building. Tim believes that the basement is the safest place on the planet. He encourages people to come down from the desired high rise to the basement, where they can get honest, they can be open, and they can be transparent. He is real, he is honest, and he is vulnerable. He is a husband, he is a father. Vault Empowers Talks. Welcome one of the most controversial preachers on the gram, Mr. Tim Ross.
Hey,
how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm grateful to be here with you.
Now look,
very grateful to be here with you.
Before we got started, I said you was controversial on the gram, and you were like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I wasn't trying to do that.
I don't think you were.
No, I really wasn't trying to do that. People experience me differently.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, but you have to. I really want to go back because you've been in ministry for over 20 years.
Yep.
January 14th was a day that really transformed your life.
Yep.
And set you on this path, the path of upsetting the gram, which you didn't know you were going to do back then.
They didn't even have the gram back then. It was 1996.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 28 years since I made that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you decided to follow Christ. You didn't grow up in the church.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did grow up in the church. My parents were pastors. They pastored a church bivocationally for 15 years. It never got over 100 people. The day I gave my life to Jesus, there was no sermon, there was no altar call. I was sitting on the back row of the church. I had just come from the club. And I probably got home at 4:30 a.m.
In the morning.
And then I took a nap, and I still lived under my parents' roof. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to church. And I was sitting on the back row, and it was the first time I heard, I know it was the Holy Spirit now, but I knew it was not me. I heard the Holy Spirit say, "You're a sinner." It was like saying you got on this black jacket. It was like a matter-of-fact statement. No condemnation in it, no judgment, just a statement. And when he made this statement, I could feel my disconnection from God. I started crying on the back row. And this is a Pentecostal church. Don't matter if it's small, it's still long, right? And so I'm like, the Sunday school had just ended. Morning worship had just started. So I'm like 3 hours away from salvation. I can't wait that long to get saved. So I stood up during testimony service.
Wow.
And my dad started from the front, and he got to the back, and he was like, I think Tim got something to say. And I was like, I give up. And they were like.
So how old were you at this?
I was 20.
You were 20 years old.
20 years old.
And you give your life to Christ. You were a high school graduate. You had no college. You were not headed to theology school. Nobody's seminary. You still have it, right?
No.
Yeah.
But I teach in seminaries and Bible colleges.
Yeah.
And those students get credit towards a degree I don't have, which is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
It is absolutely hilarious.
So, wow. So you get this calling on your life, and then it totally shifts your life because you leave California.
Yep.
You go to Texas.
Yep.
And really start a whole new way of living.
Yeah, I have to. I know for a fact if I would have stayed in Cali, I would still be a follower of Jesus, but I'd probably have 3 babies mamas. And
Lord have mercy.
I probably would have shot somebody.
What?
Yeah,
Tim,
for sure.
you don't even have that type of vibe, but I'm sure this is probably because you have been transformed and
I am
renewed.
crucified
Yeah.
with Christ. It is no
Yeah.
longer I who lives, but Christ that lives in me.
Wow.
We cannot get that twisted.
Yeah.
I have to keep my flesh on the cross,
Wow.
or I will run roughshod.
You would have 3 baby mamas and been to shot somebody.
That would have happened. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what was your life before you got into ministry? Were you in the street life? That was your life?
Indirectly, my older brother founded a gang in LA. And so when you're that close to gang life, if you're not in a gang, you're still in a gang. You're in the gang that's not in a gang.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is still a gang, right?
Yeah.
And so the streets were dangerous, crack was everywhere, violence was everywhere, and so the hood sense is like very, very high. And I still have that. Like that's where I'm cut from that. Inglewood, California, like made me, right? So once I gave my life to Jesus, getting out of that environment was the best thing for me, which I didn't go to Texas thinking that like I need to get away from California, but the Holy Spirit led me there and then kind of slammed the door behind me so I couldn't get back. And that was the best thing for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you don't look back after you get into ministry, which takes you, I mean, you go to the Potter's house, you've been in Transformation Church.
Yep.
You've kind of been placed in this path of some big, heavy hitters
Yep.
in ministry.
Yep.
You know, how has that shaped your journey?
It's just allowed me to learn.
Yeah.
In my heart, I still am the kid that stood up at the back of my parents' church that was in a banquet room of a bowling alley. That's where they were having church.
In a banquet room of a bowling alley.
Yeah. That's what they were renting that facility. So in my mind, I still see myself at that church. So getting to Texas, everyth's mega.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything over 2,000 is mega church. And so everything's big and there's a lot of people, but that's not the way, like, that don't mean nothing to me.
The size.
The size doesn't mean
And the amount
anything
of
to me.
people.
No, that doesn't mean anything to me.
What means something to you?
Making sure people are actually having the opportunity to have an experience with God.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened to me. Like it wasn't lights, camera, action, big. and the other thing is I'm from Cali. Like, who are you? You know what I mean? Brian McKnight was strolling his kids down the street at Venice Beach. And when Shaq played for the Lakers, you could see him at the red light on the right day. So when you're born and raised in LA, like you see celebrity, you see stars in their natural element. It's like, oh, that dude, that's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He's eating chicken wings that I'm eating. He's
Welcome to Atlanta.
Right. Same type of deal. So when I got to Texas, these are big names to a lot of people. They're just the people that God connected me with and gave me time with, and I value that, and I don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were in youth ministry. You were the youth pastor.
Young adult pastor.
Young adult pastor. All right. So you're a young adult pastor, and you end up meeting your wife, Juliet.
Yeah, I met her way before that though. So I laid eyes on Juliet February of 1998. We were in youth group. Somebody was praying over Juliet, and then they gave her a prophetic word. And if somebody doesn't know what that means, it's like when somebody just says something to you about your future that's going to come to pass. So I heard this from behind me. So I thought they were talking to me because it was like the exact same thing that somebody had told me like a year ago.
Yeah.
And I turn around and I see Juliet. And like I laid eyes on her, and like the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, she fine. And then I felt like the Holy Spirit said, that's your wife. And I was like, okay, so it's not lustful if I keep looking then. Because when I tell you that was fine, she was fine. She still is fine. She is aged like Felicia Rashad fine, like just fine wine fine. So I laid eyes on her in February 98. I said hi to her in April of 98. I kind of spied on her low key for 2 months at church.
Okay.
I was just like watching who she came to church with, who she hung around with.
Yeah.
And then so I said hi to her in April. I told her I liked her in May. Told her I was in love with her June. Proposed to her July. And then we were married May 1st of 99. So I wrapped that thing up.
You you did.
I wrapped that thing
You wrapped that thing up.
I wrapped it up.
But what I love about, how you profess your love for your wife, right? And in every conversation, you talk about Juliet. She's also been on your show a few times. But the one thing, you tell this story about her riding this donut truck with you.
Yeah. Oh.
And you tell this story, and that's why you're like, can't nobody
for sure
come between me and Juliet because you went in that donut truck with me.
Yeah, for sure.
She drove you to propose to her.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I didn't have a job or a car when I met her.
Wow.
So, it makes me emotional that you would bring up that donut truck. So she had to take a chance on me against her family's wishes too.
Yeah.
Because obviously you see a black dude that don't have a job or a car, and you could draw some conclusions off that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she drew different conclusions, and I made sure that the conclusions she drew were correct. So we got married May 1st of 99. I didn't have a job for 9 months, which was terrible. But then I figured some things out, Brandi. Like, that's me. I'm going to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
So in 2004, I retired her from her job.
Yeah.
Told her she don't have to go back to that job. And she's been an entrepreneur ever since.
So what was she doing during this time when you didn't have a job? Where was she working? Was she
Bank
in ministry?
Bank One.
She was at the bank.
Bank One held us down for 9 months.
It's always a woman that behind that teller at the bank. It's always a woman. Just know she's holding some man down.
Yeah. She was holding me down. She was at Bank One. It's now Chase, but it was Bank One back then. And she held down that job for 9 months till I figured it out.
And this is when you were trying to figure out ministry, where you were going to go in ministry.
Yeah, because at that time I was rapping, doing stand up, doing spoken word,
you were a
and preaching. I did stand up for 2 years. I did stand up for 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
I started doing it in the church, and then I got tired of people booking me to perform at their church, laughing hysterically at my set, and then coming to me in private and saying, you went too far. I think you shouldn't have said this. I think you shouldn't have teased that person. I don't think you should have made fun of this person. And I was like, the hypocriticalness is bothersome.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing this no more. So then I performed for some corporate events and some clubs. That was kind of the end of that before preaching kind of really took off.
Wow.
Yeah. But I could have very easily done stand-up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it now because that even lends into how you are as how your preaching style is.
Yeah.
Also how you are on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, but you say like the hypocritical part of dealing with people, which then you become a pastor.
Yeah.
Which is also you're even more so under this microscope and this gaze of people.
Yeah.
But even recently, you've come into quite a bit of a stir when you left pastoring after 20 years to become a podcaster full time.
Yep.
And people were like, I know he just say that on this show and he a pastor. Because you was cussing. You was using loud language. What you call it?
Strong language.
Strong language.
Yeah, it's strong.
language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all cussing is. It's just strong language.
I use a lot of strong language, Tim. I
Me
use
too.
a lot of it.
I believe strong emotions deserve strong language. And so the thing that was interesting about the cussing imbroglio, as it was, is that I only cussed on a total of 4 pods. Like they were acting like I was Dave Chappelle in my show. Like I was coming out like, y'all mother emphasis, this, that, and I was like, it was 4 times.
Because
like,
I've listened to quite a few, and I'm like, well, he doesn't cuss like that.
You gotta hunt for it.
Yeah, you will drop a ninja every now and again.
I will you to death. I will do that. Yes, because I don't code switch no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was pastoring, I went around the world, Australia and UK and Malaysia and Singapore, and I got around the world code switching in the same way Obama got the presidency. Like, there's no way he could get up during the State of the Union address and be like, my fellow Russia's doing the most. We need to stop him.
I'm so glad he didn't get up there and say that.
He didn't do that, right?
I'm so glad.
But are we gonna? Do we believe that Barack and Michelle don't say?
I know Michelle is definitely saying that to him. Oh, I know she is.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't listen to Jay-Z, J. Cole.
Yeah.
That can't make your top
your playlist every
your
year.
playlist, and you don't know. You just in there talking to your wife like, to my constituents.
No.
These you know it. But that's not the State of the Union. So here's the thing. I've never said nigga in the pulpit, and I've never used strong language in the pulpit, because the pulpit is akin for a preacher what the State of the Union is akin to the president.
Yeah.
So I know when to use that, but you're not going to tell me how to talk in my house.
Yeah. Mm-mm. But I appreciate that. I mean, but Tim, now you know, and I was talking about this because when I said you were controversial, you were like, I didn't know. And I said, well, you had that moment, not too long ago that came out, and the stripper reference.
Yeah.
The Jesus stripper reference. And for people who may not know exactly what you said, and this is why I really want to talk about broad world Christianity with you, because I think that's what has been referenced about you in a lot of recent kind of YouTube videos and a lot of articles out. We don't make it rain on booty cheeks. We don't make it rain on strippers. We only reverence one stripper. That's the one who took off glory to put on humanity and got butt naked on a cross to die for you and me. The only stripper I'm in love with is Jesus. And then you proceed to go into a song, and he the one that put that bread in my pocket. Yeah.
Bread in my pocket. That bread in my pocket. He put that bread in my I meant every word of it.
Yeah, I saw you did.
Yeah, I mean it right now too. Like you read it and I was like, that's
that
good.
Hard. It's bars.
Oh, it's still good.
It's got a 16.
It's still good.
Yeah.
And because I knew exactly who I was talking to.
In a very predominantly white audience too, when I looked at the video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they understand that reference.
They knew it.
They heard T-Pain. They knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
You can't do this gesture and not know what I'm talking about if I decide to make that connection. The thing is, the internet and social media now is a place where here's how again, I'll give you another visual. Let's just say we had all our windows open and somebody's walking their dog down the street and they pass this house and they hear 90 seconds of what we talking about in this house. And let's just say they walk by and all they hear is, I'll kill that. And then like 30 minutes later, police roll up.
Yeah.
We heard there's a killing of I heard it's about to get killed. Well, if you take 90 seconds to anything, you can make it sound like anything.
Yeah.
And so when you take that clip and you don't have it in context,
absolutely,
it can sound blasphemous.
Yeah.
So I can understand why some people had strong emotions about that. And he called my savior a stripper.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, if you got that confused with Peaches, Christ and Peaches are two different people.
Yeah.
One just took it off. The other one bled out. I'm talking about the latter, not the former. She just took it off.
So when you hear the reference that people even say that you've kind of, gone into a very broad road of Christianity, what does that do for you as a preacher, as a person who is still very much delivering the word?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just, the audience is different.
Yeah.
So the Lord gave me Matthew 22 and Luke 14, which are synoptic retellings of the wedding feast. Mm-hmm. And so Jesus says this parable, it's in red, but initially what he says is, hey, There was a guy that wanted everybody to come to a feast. He sends out invitations. The first wave of invitees decline. And they kill some of the messengers and they beat up some of the messengers. So then the host finds out and goes, well, then go get anybody. And literally, it's like, go get the lame, the crippled, the blind, the broken, good and bad alike. And don't just go like look at like the Galleria Mall, right? Like go to the highways, byways, bushes, and shrubs. My synthesization, right? Go to the highways, byways, bushes, and shrubs and compel them to come.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing that's crazy. I was not on social media prior to 2020.
Really?
Yeah, I got back on because of the pandemic. The elders of the church punked me into getting on to Instagram and Facebook and stuff. So from 2020 to 2022, I had 32,000 followers on Instagram, which to me is a big deal. Especially, I'm an introvert, so I was never comparing me to anybody else. So I'm 32,000 people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a big number, period. Right? So I'm like, man, that's a lot of people. And then, and it was just all clips of me preaching. And some people would like it. Oh my God, thank you. And then some people, if they didn't like it, they didn't even say nothing. They didn't care.
And this is when you were still with Embassy.
This is still when I was a lead pastor at Embassy City Church. We start the podcast, I leave pastoring, and we start going viral.
Yeah.
Brandi, here's the thing. What I'm saying talking is what I was saying preaching. I ain't saying nothing different.
Yeah.
I just get to say it in a different way.
Yeah.
So literally now we got all of these people in our DMs just going, hey, like, bro, like athletes are literally in the DMs going, bro, will you just please either call me, here's my number, or like stop putting out these clips because I'm sick of my wife's or my girlfriend sending me your clips telling me how to be a better man or whatever like that. So the reach is different and the communication has to be different depending on who you're reaching. The people that are already saved, I get passionate about this.
No, I'm with you because I feel you on this.
If you're already a believer in Jesus and you done already got God, like you good.
Yeah.
Let me go get these people that won't listen to a sermon first.
Exactly.
They just need to hear somebody talk. And if you don't like the way I'm talking, you cannot follow. That good old algorithm gives you the opportunity to long press and go, not interested.
Yeah.
That's how I got every bikini shot out of my Explorer page. I just kept hitting not interested. And the only thing I got now is butterflies and basketball clips. Like it can be done. You do not have to sit here and get negative energy brought to you and get stuff that triggers you brought to you all day. Yeah. We even put it on our Instagram where you can't make a comment unless you follow us. So if you leave in a comment, that means you follow just so you can leave a negative comment?
Yeah.
Like, unfollow.
Yeah.
Go find you somebody that aligns with what you believe. There's 332 million people in this country alone. I'm sure you can find some inspiration somewhere.
But the thing that you have said is that so many people who follow you now down in the basement, they're now dwellers of the basement.
Yeah.
Were not believers.
They weren't.
You've had atheists,
Yep.
you've had agnostics.
Yep.
Who are now followers of Christ
Yep.
because of your style of preaching.
So let me give you my favorite story from last year. Like I never needed this story to pop off. And when it did, I was like, Lord, you clowning for real. So I went to this church to do a Q&A, right? So I go do this Q&A and this beautiful young lady walks up to me, like haircut was like Caesar fade #1. Okay, low haircut, beautiful face, no makeup, beautiful smile. And she was like, you have no idea how much your ministry has touched me. I was like, oh, thank you so much. So she goes, hey, hold on real quick. Can you do me a favor and just say hi to somebody? Pulls out her phone, hits FaceTime, and hands me the phone. So I take the phone and the person answers. And as soon as she sees my face, she bursts into tears.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm an emo, so I cry very easily. So I'm like, oh. And so we exchange pleasantries or whatever. She's at work. She's in her nurse's scrubs. She was at work. She's like, thank you so much. You have no idea what it means. And you're really special to me. So I said, thank you so much for the support. I hang up the phone, give it back to the lady. The lady was like, thank you so much for saying hi to her. That means the most to me. She was like, that's my wife. I was like, okay. And she said, and we're getting a divorce. And she said, it's because of your podcast. And she starts literally going through every episode where she felt like the Holy Spirit was convicting her about her marriage to her wife. And then she was like, then I brought my wife in, we sat on the edge of the bed and we started watching it and we just wept. And then we just came to the conclusion, like, if we're really going to honor God the way that we hear it coming from you, we can't honor him by having sex with each other. So we're uncoupling.
Wow.
I was like, can't nobody tell me nothing.
Wow.
For what I do, like, you know, if you're not a believer in Jesus Christ, then definitely you ain't gonna ever feel convicted about nothing like that. But if you really want to honor Jesus and you just don't want him as Savior, you want him as Lord, your lifestyle has to change.
Yeah.
It's the bottom line. Like, there's no way to accept Jesus and stay the same person. That's just never gonna happen. So, for people that would never listen to a sermon on homosexuality, but you listening to a pod where I wasn't even addressing homosexuality, I'm just telling what the Bible says. No, I'm not doing that. That ain't me.
So take me down this path, because this is somebody who grows up as a preacher's kid, you know, both of your parents being preachers, high school in Inglewood, and who falls away and goes astray and comes back to now be a preacher. But there has to be this dark place that you've had in your life, because you've talked about very openly about your own childhood trauma.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I was sexually abused when I was 8 years old. 8 years old by a teenage boy teenage. He had to be between 15 and 17 when he perpetrated these acts. And I was 8. So to be sexualized at 8 is to be completely effed up. Like, you're talking about just taking an L very early. Prepubescent. And so it was a very dark time. Like, I made a conscious decision after the first time he did it, because it happened like over a span of somewhere between 6 to 12 months it happened. And I found out later he actually abused every kid on the block, including my younger brother.
Wow.
I found that out when I was 15. So I'm sexualized at 8. I'm confused. I don't understand what has happened. All I do know is I can't tell my mama because I'm going to blow up my whole family. So at 8 years old, I want you to, next time you see a kid around 8 years old, imagine them having to try to make an adult decision. Like, if I go home and tell my parents, my daddy gonna kill him, my brother gonna bury him, my mama's gonna be brokenhearted, and me and Miles are probably gonna be in foster care. Like, that's what I'm thinking at 8.
Yeah.
So I'm making adult decisions to protect my family from my abuser.
And so you're burying this. You're burying this.
Oh yeah, I'm burying this.
No one knows.
No one knows. No one knows. And I just begin to act out. My thing was, I'm gonna come in a room and suck all the air out of it, and that way they'll be so distracted they won't pay attention to me. I was deathly afraid of somebody looking me deep in my eye, because I was afraid I was gonna crack. That's how I lived 8 to 19 years old. Like, I just, let me make you laugh, let me be the class clown, because if you touch right up under this surface, I will crack, and I don't want to do that, right? So that was 8. I got exposed to pornography when I was 12, and pornography was my weed, my crack, my drink, my everything. It was my medication. It was the thing that I used. Pornography and masturbation is what I used to regulate my nervous system.
So you were watching pornography all day, every day?
Oh my God, absolutely. I was still in magazines from liquor stores.
And this is before we had it on our phones.
Yeah,
this is before the
phone.
Smartphone.
Phone porn is crack.
Yeah,
right. I did powdered
cocaine.
I was doing powdered
VHS porn.
Yeah, I had VHS.
I had to go by that
fuzzy tracking porn. Yeah,
$46 video.
Yeah, for sure. That was terrible porn. I had low loading internet porn. It was breast.
And here you are.
And now, right? So that was my medication. And then when I was 19 years old, everything changed.
What was it?
19 years old, I am watching porn at 2:00 in the morning. I have trained myself to be able to cover my tracks within 2 seconds of hearing any creak, any step, any door crack, anything.
So what are you doing? Because this is the era of a VHS.
Yeah, I'm on a box set TV.
Yeah.
VHS is in
Yeah.
on the little couch. Got my little blanket. Got my Vaseline.
Yikes.
And we about to rub it out, right?
Yikes.
Did you not know that's how masturbation works?
I did. You know what? I've never had it in a conversation in this chair. You know,
okay.
Yeah. So you're my first.
Well,
you're my first.
Here we go. Right.
Yeah. You're my first masturbation and porn talk here.
Okay, great. So there's a first for everything.
You're it.
I'm it. So I am in it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm having this connection to this fantasy, this lie, this poison. Right. That I didn't know was a lie and poison. It was nursing the wounds of my abandonment and my attachment issues.
Yeah.
And my mom must have walked through the door of her bedroom, past the creak in the carpet, to present herself right in that living room while my penis is in my hand.
First of all, you in the living room, Tim?
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
It's the best TV in the house.
Oh God.
I didn't have a TV in my bedroom. Oh, it would have been over. I would have been a prisoner of war for. I probably would have came out till I was 37. I'm glad I was in the living room.
Save the children, Father.
Oh my God. I'd have made a barricade in front of my door if I had a TV in there with a VCR. I would have never came out.
Damn, you
I might still be in there now.
You on the couch in the living room.
On the couch in the living room.
Cutting up.
Rubbing up. So my mom said, Tim,
Oh, Jesus.
what are you doing? I didn't know what to grab first. I'm like, do I grab the remote? Do I grab the blanket? Yeah. And so I did that dumb, like, if you it, you heard it. I said, huh? And by the time I turned around, she was already gone.
Oh, God.
Now, my mom is a praying woman.
Yeah.
She went to her room,
Yeah.
hit her knees, and started praying. My mom has 2 surgically repaired knees as a direct result of praying on them. Mm-hmm. Doctor confirmed she literally wore out the cartilage in her knees from the years she spent praying on them.
Oh, wow.
And I'm one of those manifestations of
Yeah.
her prayers. So she went straight to the room and started praying. You know, obviously I feel a lot of guilt and shame. I take the tape out, I pop it, and I throw it away. I clean myself up, and I'm walking down the hall. And if I make a left, I go to my room. If I make a right, I go to hers. And in my mind, I'm thinking, if I go to my room, it's going to be awkward in the house for like 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
She probably going to tell Dad. Dad probably going to have some talk with me, like, shouldn't be looking at porn, like something like that. And then like maybe it'll be over, like in terms of that awkwardness. But I'm in my heart, I'm like, I'm going to go right back to this stuff. And I didn't want to be doing it, but that's all. At this point, my body's just trained to do it, right? So I know now that it was the Holy Spirit that gave me the strength to make it right. So I walked in the room. I knocked on the door. She said, come in. When I opened the door, she was on her knees, face wet with tears. And I said, Mom, I don't want you to think I'm dirty. I don't want you to think I'm a pervert. I got abused by John when I was 8. So the 8-year-old and the 19-year-old's body came in that room.
After you were, because now you're exposed.
Yeah, I'm exposed.
Yeah, you're exposed.
So what should have been like the most embarrassing night of my life, Brandi, was actually the most free.
It was a breakthrough.
Because we woke up, my younger brother, Miles, he got abused by the same guy. My daddy worked nights for the Postal Service for over 30 years, so she called him home. She admits that when she was 6, she was sexually harassed by her babysitters. She's 6 years old, and when her mom and her friend would go out, these 2 boys would pull down their pants, expose their penises to my mom, who's 6, and run around the house chasing her. So if that's not a nightmare for a little girl, nothing is. And then my dad was sexually abused by the owner of a comic book store when he was 5 years old.
So this is a generational curse.
It was generational.
Now you're finding this out at 19 years old.
It was generational.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about to hit. It was about to run through the whole fam. And so at 19, that all came out. And I felt like it was like a 2,000-pound slab of concrete that came off my chest.
Yeah,
like I could like, I was like, oh God, I can breathe. You know what I mean? Like I could like really, really breathe. And so after that day, I made up in my mind, I'm never going to have a secret again. Like point blank period. You couldn't pay me to keep a secret. I might not tell the world, but somebody got to know what I'm going through, because I can't have that feeling again. So from that day to this one, and that was pre-Jesus. Like that wasn't, it wasn't like,
this is 19.
This was 19.
Doesn't happen until 20,
exactly,
a year later.
Exactly right. So, that was like the most liberating thing that ever happened, was me getting caught. And
that's a word for somebody.
it is it's a word for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like you can't imagine the freedom that can happen if you just finally get caught.
Yeah.
You sleep better.
Yeah.
Once you get caught.
Yeah.
Cause it keep like the torment of lying and covering your tracks,
remembering the
stuff,
remembering the lie,
remembering the lie, the details of the lie, and then you know, are you gonna say it the same way? And I thought you said 2, but now you said 1, and you know what I'm saying? Like
it's real.
It's the reason why I don't have a side chick, cause that's too much work.
Yeah,
and it's the reason why I don't lie, cause that's too much work. So whatever I'm telling you. Yeah. So like that episode is what has informed my entire salvation. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
I'd rather you just tell the truth and let me just appreciate where you are now. I ain't got to agree with it, but this is where I am right now.
Yeah. And
what a lot of people don't give other people the permission to do is to evolve. Right, we meet a person where they are, we judge them where they are,
and we expect them to stay there,
and we make them stay there. I told you I only cussed on 4 pods, but let the internet tell it. They keep repeating the same. He's a cusser. He's a cusser because he called Jesus a stripper. This is trifling in every one of his sermons. Maybe not. Maybe the library is out there. Maybe you should go watch it all.
Yeah,
and then come back and tell me if you still have the same sentiment.
So even now, when you have your breakthrough at 19, which leads to you transforming your life through Jesus Christ at 20, right? I think that really speaks to how you are now with the basement. Yeah. And why it's so important for those dwellers who push B, as you say.
That's right.
Come on down to the basement.
Come on down here.
Yeah.
It's safer down here. Because when I gave my life to Jesus at 20 years old, I was a born-again porn addict. Like, I didn't have that. I looked at my hands and they looked new. I looked at my feet and they did too. Look what the Lord has done. Look what the Lord has done. Like, transformation don't happen that fast.
No.
Ask a butterfly.
Yeah.
Transformation is not a Thanos snap. Like, it takes time.
Yeah.
And sanctification is a process, and it's the one thing that we try to preempt. But if we were to be as honest as the Bible we read for believers, then how you still like Abraham this lied? How you read the Psalms and like you think you saying Psalm 23 is one of my favorite Psalms, and David killed for his wife.
David was,
and y'all still cool with him?
Yeah.
Peter denied Jesus, and y'all still like that dude?
Yeah.
Like, so if you can forgive them, you can't forgive the person you can actually see now. I guess they got to be dead for 2,000 years, and then you can, like, in hindsight, be like, you know what? That life was actually well lived. He was righteous. I know he fell there, but he got up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all the things. Yeah.
It's all the things. It's not either or, it's both and. But we can't handle the and of people's lives. We want this or that. We can't handle this and that. Yet, you're happy with Jesus being lion and lamb.
Yeah. Yeah. The and in people's lives.
Yeah, we got to handle the ands. You can be awesome and an a-hole. 2 things can be true. Like, it could just be true. You know what I'm saying? So I remember I remember giving my life to Jesus and still being a porn addict. And like, I love Jesus. Like my spirit was changed in that moment. Like my fidelity is to this, but my body is still responding to that.
So did this follow you into your marriage?
It did. It did. Much to Juliet's disdain. Like that, we had some brutal first years because I was under the assumption under people that had not experienced freedom from themselves. And when people don't experience freedom, they can only take you to the last place they've been.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So if you're not free from something, you try to give somebody else directions to freedom. All you can say is, it's north.
Stop right there when you get to that corner.
When you get to that one street, mega left, right?
It. That's
all
I
you
got.
can. Yeah, like there's no specifics, and so at that time I didn't have anybody giving me specifics. So they were saying stuff like, "Do the best you can, and when you fall, just repent." Or the lie, the dumb lie. This is why it wound up carrying into my marriage like it did. Was when you get married, that won't be an issue anymore, because you'll be having sex. And I'm like, I had my hand before I had,
sir.
that woman.
Yeah.
So, Julie, I can't compete with my hand.
So how is it? Because you are not the only person who has carried some stuff into their marriage.
Yeah.
Because most people think
everybody carries their stuff
into
their marriage.
When I get married, it's just like Jamal Bryant was on the show, and he said he did not begin practicing monogamy until he got married. Well, if you ain't been practicing it,
that's right.
It's gonna be hard for you to know how to play the game.
Which is why the Bible is clear on fornication and premarital sex. Because in the event you do get married,
here we are.
You can't stop being a hoe.
Yeah.
On your wedding day.
It's hard.
You
it's
already
hard
have hoe tendencies.
You got hoe tendencies.
You already got hoe
Yes,
tendencies. You know what I'm saying? If you and I don't mean that just for women. I'm putting that for men as well. If you've been having this exciting, spontaneous, dangerous sex, right, with a jump off at the club,
31 flavors,
right, 31 flavors, and then you married pistachio.
We ride with pistachio the whole.
We about to just
whole rest of the way,
and now you're getting into the beautiful, what I call the gondola ride sex, not the roller coaster sex.
Yeah,
right. That's click 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 click. Right, you having that gondola ride. You having that.
Nice, just slow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We going down this river. This is the same vagina. This is the same penis. Yeah. This is the same body. All you got to do is run your play, right? You know I like this touch. You know I like that touch. You know I like this. You know I like that. Like if your body's not trained for that, it's going to look for something dangerous. It's going to look for a roller coaster when you should be on a gondola ride.
And so how was that roller coaster experience for you when you got married and you're still addicted to porn?
Yeah.
So what's your wife's response to this?
My wife's response is fix it.
How do I do that?
Yeah, my wife's response was fix it. And for me, it was therapy.
Okay.
Because porn is not the issue, really. Porn is the symptom.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a cold and I hand you Kleenex, I helped you with the symptom. I didn't help you with the root.
Yeah.
I didn't help you with the actual virus.
Yeah.
And so porn was my medication for a broken soul. Right? Like I was sexualized at 8. I did not control the touch of my abuser. He controlled the touch. And so masturbation was about me being in control of the touch. Pornography was about me being in control of the images. And masturbation is also about being in control of the release. I can have the release when I want it. It's not when you want it. It's when I want it, right? And so, but that leads to selfishness. That leads to a loss of connectivity. That leads to a loss of intimacy. And so once I realized how it was impairing my connection with Juliet, I'm like, I want to get to the root of this. Because if I just keep dealing with the fruit of this, I won't cut down the tree. And we won't get to the root of the issue. So in the 28 years that I've been a believer of Jesus, I've been in some form of counseling and or therapy for 26.
Okay.
So when I tell you I'm about that life,
Yeah.
I'm about that life.
Yeah.
Juliet would tell you, she'll say, I think Timmy is the most counseled person in the world.
Yeah.
Because I don't see therapy as like, wait until you crash into a wall of life and then like go get fixed.
Yeah.
Like if you get your hair cut every week or you go to the dentist 4 to 6 times a year, you go to the doctor twice a year, you checking your teeth, you checking your general body, you checking for nails, you checking for hair, you checking for eyes, but you're not checking for emotions.
And emotions. Yeah.
What is we doing? Mm-hmm. So we're actually playing ourselves to actually think, I got me. I know what I'm going through. I don't need nobody to tell me about no problems. But they can't tell you got gallstones. You can feel something, but you can't determine what it is without an X-ray.
Yeah.
You don't even see your face till you look in a mirror. You've seen more of my face today than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So we need somebody to help us with our emotions. But if you got too much ego and pride, you're just gonna keep walking around like you got it all together, and everyone can see you don't accept you.
Yeah.
It's a bad look.
So what did it teach you about you as a husband? Mm-hmm. What did it reveal to you about Juliet as a wife during that time?
What it taught me as a husband was that my love for her had to make me love myself enough to make changes. This is I'm glad you asked that question that way. A lot of people use their spouse as motivation to change. That doesn't last.
Yeah.
If you don't love you enough to do this for you,
Yeah.
your spouse can't be your motivation. Like they could be the impetus, like, man, I need to work on me, because what we teach when Juliet and I do marriage counseling or pre-marriage counseling, what we tell people is that your spouse is you outside of you, looking back at you, talking to you about you. Your spouse is a full-length mirror of you.
Absolutely.
Right? And so Juliet is me.
Yeah.
It's not like I married this chick. She's me. She is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. That is me in female form. That's the glory of me. If you ever want to see the glory of me, just pull up a picture of my wife, right?
Yeah.
So when Juliet is looking back at me and she says, why are you doing that? That's actually me. When she's asking me a question, I've actually asked myself that same question.
Absolutely.
But I don't have to answer it.
Yeah.
When you get married, you're forced to answer.
You gotta answer. Yeah, you gotta answer.
Why you keep doing that?
Yeah.
Why you keep doing this? Why you keep doing that? And so it helped me love me enough to go, I need to change for me. If Juliet left me today, I don't want to be a porn addict. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no 8-year-old ever that's like, I can't wait to grow up and be on a pole.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, there are no 8-year-olds that have like visions of grandeur to be porn stars and pimps. And I want to give my body to as many people as possible because that will make me happy.
Yeah.
No, brokenness leads us to that.
Absolutely.
And so once you say, I now love myself too much to keep putting myself in these patterns, that's where real change happens. So for me, what I discovered is I didn't love me. From the time I was 8 years old, I thought something was wrong with me, that this person perpetuated these acts on me. So something must be broken with me. So I don't like me that much. I don't pay attention to my needs. Let me pay attention to your needs at the expense of my needs, because I don't really like myself that much. Yeah. And then for my wife, what I loved about Juliet is because my wife is Afro-Caribbean. She's not African-American. So that's a completely different mindset. She's Jamaican and Bahamian. And so her outlook on it was like, I know it ain't me. You know, there's a lot of women that if their husband is doing porn, they're like, why am I not enough? You know, Juliet was like, I know it ain't me. Like, I'm bad. I know it ain't me. And she didn't have that pride, but she had that confidence. Like, it can't be me. And it wasn't. It was just my brokenness. And so I didn't ask her to help me with that. I asked her to help me, to hold me accountable. But in terms of the work, I didn't need her help to do that work. That was my work to do. A lot of times we ask our spouses to help us do work that's solely on us to do.
Absolutely.
Help me be a better husband by doing this. No, you need to do that on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, your spouse is there to help you and to assist you and ride with you, but don't ask them to do your work though. So Juliet couldn't do my work. I had to do my work myself.
So what's so interesting to me is that you talk about the addiction that you had to porn, right? And how you had to work through that. And it took some time to do that. And now when you are in other interviews and you've referenced your wife, you say y'all have sex like porn stars.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's so interesting to me.
Yeah, we do.
Is that you have totally taken that part that was once a thing for you.
Yeah, it was broken in me, and I gave it all to her. Ooh, she gets it. When I tell you she gets it.
You should say that.
I give myself away. Yes, I do. Yeah, we have great sex. We don't have good sex. We have great sex. That's the thing. That's
the thing that you heavily talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're 25 years in, and that's when I tell you that wine is good.
And that's still a good thing though, because a lot of people, I think you have to stick to that because so many people think when you get married, that's when you get the gondola. You get the gondola. Get the gondola.
You can do a lot in that gondola.
You can do a lot.
If you think a gondola is boring, I promise you it's not. You can make that gondola pop off.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So I think sex is beautiful. God made it. And then the enemy distorted it. Like Satan, sure enough, like perverted it.
Yeah.
But glorious sex belongs to believers. It belongs to married people. Sex is actually made for married people. We have the best sex. We should be having the best sex. Porn stars are not having the best sex. They're having inglorious sex. Does it still feel good? Absolutely. Like the thing that I think what purity culture did wrong, what a lot of churches did wrong in trying to tell people like to be abstinent and save themselves from marriage is they made sex bad.
Absolutely.
Sex is bomb.
I grew up in a Baptist church in purity culture. I was singing God Said Wait at Vacation Bible School. God said wait. I had a dance routine and everything. Tim, don't even. Okay. At Vacation Bible School, saying God said wait. I'm gonna play it safe.
That's funny. No, I tell people my sons they're 15 and 13, and we talked to them about sex at 12 and 10. But we told them, we can't wait for you to get married and have sex. You're going to love it. But if you have it before you get married, it'll still feel good, but it's going to break your heart.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to have that mutual connectivity and exclusivity that makes you feel like the safest person in the whole wide world. Me and Juliet ain't running to the freaking clinic every month to make sure that we ain't, you know what I mean? That
exactly.
Are you still... You know what I mean? Are you out here dipping on me? And do I need to, you going to bring something back that's going to be foreign to my body? Like, we ain't got to do all that. Like, this is mutual and it's exclusive and it's beautiful. And we've explored each other's bodies and we know what we like and we know what we don't. And we run the play.
Yeah.
Because you find out, look, if you were guaranteed, if an athlete was guaranteed, there's 5 plays you can run in football, you're going to win the Super Bowl every year. Well, you would be a fool not to run that play.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a chip every year. Just run the play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so great sex is just about communicating with your partner and saying, when you run that play, I'm guaranteed an orgasm.
Yeah.
So just do that. And when you do this to me, I'm guaranteed
championship rings.
You gonna get a chip every single time. So I don't know anybody that gets tired of winning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you ain't got to win with a different jersey on every night.
Every time.
That's weird.
I totally agree with that. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm big on normalizing sex and sexuality for believers because I think that's very, very important.
I think it's important because I think that that's a conversation that so many people have been afraid to have. They've run away from having it. And so it's led people to make very informed decisions and ill-informed decisions.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, but I think now, though, even when you talk about the greatness of the sex and the joy of your marriage, now you're pushing people into the greatness of their own life with your new book.
I am. I am. So welcome to the basement. It's literally like the owner's manual for people that want to have a basement philosophy. Because our dwellers, as we are so affectionately called, we have a mindset. Like the way we live an upset life so that we can upset others. Like that's literally what being upset is all about. Like Upset the Gram wasn't this moniker I came up with to piss people off online. Like to be upset literally by definition means to turn upside down. That's literally, it's like, there's water here so I won't do it. But if I turn this glass upside down, it's upset.
Yeah.
That's all it means. And I believe that the Bible is the most upsetting book that's ever been written. Jesus Christ lived the most upsetting life that's ever been lived. My life was upset by Jesus, and I've literally spent my life ever since upsetting others with the message, love, and hope of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like that's my joy every day I wake up. Like, Holy Spirit, who we gonna upset today? Like who can we bless? Who can we encourage? I switched my whole wardrobe because mental health and emotional intelligence is a big thing for me. So I switched all my wardrobe shirt-wise to terry cloth shirts.
Okay.
Because when I give hugs, terry cloth has a feel to it, so it's self-soothing. Yeah. So when I give hugs, people don't even know, like they're getting like
the sensory.
They're getting like they're being regulated. Like I have this goal to be the safest person that somebody could ever interact with. Right. Men and women, male bodies and female bodies, that if I hug a woman, I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel protected. If I hug a man, I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel protected because we've sexualized everything. Yeah. And so when somebody doesn't have to worry about their sex and sexuality when they're embraced, it like subconsciously they're like, huh. Yeah. Oh, that feels good.
So what do you want readers to walk away with? Your new book comes out February 27th.
Yep.
So what do you want readers to walk away with in this book?
I want them to walk away with a sense of hope that if they volunteer to be an upset person by allowing Jesus Christ to come into their life, that they would be partners with the Holy Spirit to do stuff that they never thought possible. Mm-hmm. Like in every facet of their life. And so if you're married, if you're single mama, if you're single and you don't want to get married ever, if you own a business, if you are an employee of a business, you have the opportunity every single day to be the type of person that other people feel upset by in like the best possible way. Yeah.
So you're encouraging people to turn some stuff upside down.
Oh, absolutely. Lives. Absolutely. Yeah. And it could be, again, it could be with a hug. It could be with a compliment. I every time I board a plane, I'm looking for a compliment to give the flight crew. Oh, wow. I almost have to like make myself not buy people's groceries behind me and like coffee behind me. And because anytime I'm out, I'm like, for a believer in if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, like then we always hear about the harvest, right? We need to win souls. Yeah. We need to get people saved. And people need to come into the kingdom. Yeah. And then I'm like, everybody's in love with the harvest, but nobody wants to do any seed time in irrigation. Who's sowing seed and who's watering? Yeah. Because that harvest ain't coming out of nowhere. Yeah. The seed has to be sown, it has to be watered, and there has to be some wait time before you see any fruit, right? So for me, I'm like, today might not even be a salvation day in my encounter with you. Like say I meet you for the first time, and today's not even an encounter day. Today's just a seed sowing day. Yeah. So I'm going to say something to encourage you. I'm going to say something for you to understand that you've been seen, heard, known, and still loved without judgment. Yeah. That's what every human being is looking for on earth. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be fully known and still be loved and not be judged. You may not agree with me, but you accept me in that space. Yeah. And this book is the print of what the Basement podcast is, right? We create a safe space for people to give us the gift of their vulnerability. Vulnerability is the one gift that is so extravagant you could never demand it. Yeah. Don't nobody have to be vulnerable with you. Yeah. Ever, for no reason. So it's not something that you could ever demand. It's something that somebody kind of just hands to you and says, I want to give you a gift today. I want to show you something about me you would never know or ever see unless I just chose to give it to you. And so we hold space for that every week.
Every week.
Every single week. On Mondays, we do a live show. We got close to 2,000 people that watch live in the middle of the day. I'm like, I don't. Do y'all work or like did y'all get fired or what?
No, they got you locked in on it while they sitting in that desk.
They are locked in, and I low key, Brandi, I would do it 5 days a week.
Yeah,
if I could, that would be like my radio show, and I would just be like, take all these calls and. Because them people in that live chat, like they got they full, like they don't know how to do no nicknames or nothing. They in there with their first and last name, like, I had sex with my boyfriend last night and I busted it open for him. And
wow, okay, that's something.
Please pray for me. And you're like, I'd rather walk with that person in the chat, being that honest, than to listen to a lying preacher.
Yeah, absolutely.
And find out later that this nigga's in a scandal.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me the girl that doesn't mind saying that she busted it wide open. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And pray for me because I'm trying, as opposed to I got it all together, then you find out later.
I call them the Decepticons. Yeah.
Homie.
It's a lot of Decepticons out here. Listen.
That's that Transformer. That's that sound effect. Yeah, these Decepticons are wild. Mm-hmm. They're wild. And so I just rather be with some authentic people. It's crazy. Like I just can't imagine how many people are out here faking the funk, but you mad at some people that want to be authentic about where they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like to just go back to what you brought up earlier, I didn't make a stripper comment to be salacious. I gave it to an audience that could contextualize it.
Yeah.
I didn't cuss to get clicks. I cussed because I felt strongly about it. I wasn't calling nobody bees and hoes and all that kind of stuff. Somebody talked about being domestically, they were experiencing domestic violence. I think that's effed up. That's the vocabulary I chose to use at that time. I have strong feelings around that. Yeah. I could also said it's egregious.
Yeah.
I could also say it's heartbreak. I could use a $10 word, a big juicy, multi-syllable $10 word, and it's effed up.
Yeah.
It's still. So I'm talking to Corinthians now. I don't talk to as many Ephesians and Philippians as I do Corinthians now. Corinthians are just different.
Yeah. They
need a different cadence. And that's who's responding to it. And so for all the people that are still like, you already love Jesus and you've been running for Jesus a long time and you ain't got tired yet, I salute you. Like, but let me go get old girl. Let me go get old dude.
So as we wrap this interview, what's one strong word you are living by in this season of your life?
Peace.
Bird.
My friend said something to me. I had an interview with a young lady. They tried to make it a debate, but it wasn't much of a debate because I let people finish their sentences. I don't think you can know somebody and understand them unless you let them talk.
Yeah.
And so she paid me the best compliment I could have ever received. She said, she's a therapist, and she said, my first EMDR teacher told me that the person with the strongest nervous system in the room wins. And she said, I watched that interview, and that was you. My word is peace, Brandi, because I want to be content in whatever state I'm in. I'm using Paul's language, but I just want to be peaceful wherever I am.
Yeah.
I want to carry peace. I don't want to be triggered by the environment or triggered by your words or triggered by your actions. I want to be so self-differentiated that you could do you, but it don't bother me.
Yeah.
right? You could say whatever you want to say. You could, whether it's about me or someone else, and I can just still be at peace. And that peace is also meant to make it very easy to recognize when you're not settled anymore. If you're at a place of real peace and tranquility, the slightest vibration will already give you an indication like, ooh, that's getting to me.
Yeah.
I don't like the way he said that. I don't like the way he did that. I remember when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, it bothered me so bad I had to go see my therapist.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't get over it.
Oh wow.
I'm like, why is that bothering me so bad? And when I went to the therapist, she said, do you see yourself as Will or Chris? And I was like, I'm Chris. I can't tell you how many times I've had to take the metaphorical slap and not clap back. I'm Chris. I know what it is to stand there and have to take a slap and can't say nothing back.
Wow.
Because it would ruin your reputation.
Yeah.
Like, this person can be triggered and do something to you, but if you do it back, they'd be ethered. So you got to stay silent.
Yeah.
Like, my Cat Williams has to stay crucified to the cross.
Wait, you talked about that.
Because if I take that off the cross, I'm going to ether.
Yeah, you
I'll
talked
ether.
about that.
Yeah. So
You said he has a liberty that you don't have.
He does.
He has a freedom that you don't have, and you wish you were able to speak with that type of liberty.
Yeah, if I did, though, I would be so in my flesh. I'm just keeping it a buck. It would be fleshly. But yeah, there are certain things that I would love to say, but it would be out of vengeance. It would be out of, vindictiveness. I would impair you psychologically for the rest of your life.
Just because you know how to use your words to cut.
That's why he called me.
Yeah.
He called me because I can talk.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's why he called me, because he knows I have a gift of communication. And when yielded to him, that brings people to him.
Yeah.
If I use it for me, I'll bring people to me. And that's not my thing. I tell all of my mentees, male or female, do you honestly think that I could be used by God to lead people to Jesus and I couldn't be used by God to lead a woman to my hotel room? Like, if you're not consciously aware of what you have, you can be a dangerous person.
Yeah.
And so I am crucified with Christ.
Yeah.
Not I was, present tense.
Yeah.
I keep my flesh on the cross. Like, you have to die to self.
Yeah.
Because the glory of the Father through his Son is to not live like you want to live. I don't wake up in the morning to do me.
But you are considered really a social media influencer at this stage in your life.
Yeah.
And I think you've owned that one of those as your title, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I own it.
So most people would think that you are drawing people to yourself, even though that's not your goal.
Yeah, it's not. If they came to me and stopped at me, I'd probably quit today.
What do you mean?
I would hope that if they're drawn to me, it's because of who's in me and not me. At the end of the day, I want them to have Jesus. And so all my popping off at the mouth might get your attention.
Yeah.
But upon further investigation, my hope and my prayer is that you see Jesus. And if that's not the case, then I would stop the pod before I got back on that plane. Because I'm an introvert. I'm not interested in any of this. I'm doing this because I was commanded to. Like, I wasn't trying to do no pod.
You fought it for months.
Yeah, I was not trying to do this
months
pod.
You fought it.
Yeah. So because it's not my natural. I have process group therapy once a month. It's every Tuesday. It's once a month on Tuesdays for 8 hours. So this is my 7th year in process group therapy. I pay about $14,000 a year for my mental health.
Okay.
A year, and that's why I haven't smacked nobody in the face.
That's really good.
Because you can be Will or you can be Chris.
Yeah.
So so I told my group yesterday that me being a podcaster as an introvert who's very private is the akin to being a pilot who gets nosebleeds at high altitudes. It's like, why are you a pilot, sir, if 40,000 feet means your nose is going to gush blood, right? But when you've been assigned to do something, it's usually something, everybody thinks God's call makes you click your heels and be like, yay, the Lord asked me to do it.
It's the furthest thing from it.
Nah, fam, most times the Lord telling you to do something, you like, damn.
That can't be me. You got the wrong one.
Please go get somebody else. Like, he's thirsty, get him. Like, you know what I mean? He clearly wants it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want you. And it's like, no, but I would rather not, Lord. You know, I'm like this close to, I could be Will. And he's like, be Chris. Then I'm like, I could be Kat. And he's like, be Christ. So that's the balance I have to cut. Like, I create content for people, and it's in the public square, so people have a right to respond. Absolutely. I put it out in public. I don't turn off my comment section, so you have a right to say whatever you want to. It's just when it gets personal, like, you don't have to like the statement. You don't have to like the delivery. You don't even have to like me. But, like, when it gets disparaging and, like, you're, like, calling out and you're almost, like, pull up, I'm like,
pull up.
I'm like, address. I know that don't know me. Like, that's how you not catch a case.
That's how you.
Because two Cash Apps can end a life.
Not
like
two Cash Apps.
Two of them.
Well, I don't want no two Cash Apps on this platform, so we're gonna have to wrap this thing on up and put a bow on it, Tim.
Well, listen. That's all to say, because a lot of people talk about, like, you know, being submitted to God's will and keeping your flesh under control.
Yeah.
But then they won't describe what they got to kill. All I'm saying is,
very fair.
I'm from LA, and I love Jesus, and that's why I'm not saying certain things or running up on people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or brandishing firearms. You know what I'm saying? Or rolling blunts.
Well, Atlanta is the airport where it's the most firearms that have been taken in the country. I want to say in the world.
Wow.
So
wow.
Atlanta is the place. You're right at home here.
Well, this is why I just visit here clearly and don't live here. Like, I've flown here more times in the last 12 months than any other city in this nation. But I love it here, and I appreciate you having me.
I do too. As we close before. This is second closing. But
second closing. This is a Baptist church.
This is a Baptist church.
You was raised in a Baptist church. You're just doing what you know to do.
Yeah. So, you know, we got one closing, and now this is the benediction for real. You know, now unto him. Okay.
Who was able.
Who was able. Okay.
To keep us.
So before you leave, give us a word for the people who have not even made it down to the basement, who are still finding themselves
for sure
stressing, struggling, waning in a place where they don't know what's next.
Yeah.
Give them one word before you leave.
Press B. I know that's like a word and a letter, but just press B. I would encourage you to come down to the basement. And even if you don't know what to do, just hang out with us. Just hang out with us for like a month. And if you don't like it, you can turn it off. You can turn it off after one episode if you want to. But I promise you, you'll be safe here. And you'll be seen here. You'll be heard here. You'll be known here. You'll be loved here. I love you. I don't have to know you to love you. Do you want to know why I love you? And I can say that like with all the confidence in the world. Because my God sent his son to die for you. That's how much he was in love with you. That he sent his son to die for you. And if he loved you that much, I have no other choice but to love you that much. So press B. It's safer in the basement.
It's safer in the basement. Tim is looking for peace, and getting peace in this season. It's been my honor, my pleasure to sit down and talk with you. I'm going to find my way in the grocery store behind Tim so he can pay for my groceries and
We
get
can
in
go
line
now.
with him behind at Starbucks, okay? I am on my way down to the basement. It's been a pleasure.
I love you.
You guys, thank you for joining us here at Vault Empowers Talks. Until next time, you guys, hit that subscribe button, eat well, give a damn, and move your body every single day. Peace.